This is the Behind the Line podcast, and this is Pacific Northwest Headline News for Friday, May 20th, 2022. Drought is expected to impact much of the Pacific Northwest this summer, including areas throughout eastern Washington, southern Oregon, and southern Idaho. Despite a report from the Yakima Herald-Republic stating that Washington and Oregon recorded above normal precipitation levels in April, a recent map from the U.S. Drought Monitor shows that 54% of Washington state is experiencing abnormally dry conditions that could lead to severe drought. State climatology experts predict it will be warmer and drier than usual this summer. Last summer, Governor Jay Inslee announced a first-of-its-kind statewide drought emergency. He loves his emergencies. After a historic heat wave swept across the region in June 2021. Oh, it's going to be a great summer, isn't it? Sunnyside, Washington, a 13-year-old boy is accused of shooting 5 people during Sunnyside's Cinco de Mayo festival. The 13-year-old, who Sunnyside police described as a Sereno gang member, is being held at the Yakima County Juvenile Justice Center on suspicion of 5 counts of first-degree assault in connection with the May 6th incident. Bail's been set at $500,000. It's a gang-related shooting in the middle of a crowd of people at the Cinco de Mayo festival, the prosecutor said. The entire festival was shut down because of the shooting. A witness told Sunnyside police that he saw the suspect and the other Sereno gang members who were laughing and looking at a group dressed in red attire at the festival. The suspect then pulled a handgun from his waistband, pointed at the group wearing red, and opened fire. Red is a color police say is typically associated with the Norteño street gangs. 5 people were hit, including a 35-year-old man who was struck in the leg, a 12-year-old boy who was hit in the bottom lip and tongue, a 6-year-old girl in the lower leg, and 2 boys, ages 16 and 14, who were shot in the legs. The 16 and 14-year-old had possible gang connections, the affidavit said. Yep, Eastern Washington has major gang problems. Once again, you can thank state Democratic leaders for incidents like this that are occurring around the state. And Seattle School District has demoted Cleveland High School principal after she told families the district would limit contact tracing. Principal Catherine Brown's 18-year run working at Cleveland High School is coming to an end this summer. The reason, her attorney says, she informed families of a plan to scale back COVID-19 contact tracing in Seattle schools, something district officials ordered her not to do. After an investigation, district officials decided to end Brown's principal contract effective June 30th. They have also demoted her to a lower role, sought her reassignment to a different school, and are recommending a 5-day suspension, according to Shannon McMenemy, Brown's attorney. This is the most severe discipline I've seen imposed on an 18-year employee, a principal with no past record for insubordination or failing to follow a directive. On Thursday evening, the district would not confirm any part of Brown's account or answer questions about contact tracing. It is our standard practice to not discuss personnel matters out of respect for all involved, Seattle Public Schools spokesperson wrote in an email. And they've already got somebody else they're going to put in her place. And, of course, that's going to be somebody that'll toe the line and do exactly what the woke Seattle School District wants them to do. Welcome to equitable and inclusive Seattle. Seattle mortgage payments are up 58.5% since last year. But officials say housing market isn't slowing down. Despite the cost of mortgage payments surging and rates climbing rapidly, housing prices continue to rise in Seattle and throughout the country. According to Seattle-based Zillow's latest marketing report, the monthly payment on a typical home in the Seattle metro area is $3,394 a month, assuming a 30-year mortgage with a 20% down payment. Up 58.5% from a year ago. The same typical home is worth $791,933 in the Seattle area, up 25.7% year over year. Rent has also increased by 16% last year, according to Zillow, with the Seattle area's typical rent sitting at $2,206 a month. It's all coming to a head, folks. Portland, Oregon police shared new data about fentanyl showing just how widespread and dangerous it is. Already, almost half of the 58 overdose deaths in Portland this year are suspected to be from fentanyl. Fentanyl is extremely potent, usually blue in color and referred to as M30s in pill form, made to look like common pharmaceutical drugs like oxycodone or Xanax. Police said drug cartels want people to get hooked on this because it's so cheap for them to make, but the problem is people are mistakenly buying it thinking they're getting another drug, and just a little bit can be deadly. 1 kilogram costs $1,000 to purchase and has the potential to kill 500,000 people. Since last summer, the Portland Police Bureau Narcotics and Organized Crime Unit has seized nearly 570,000 fentanyl pills and more than 4,000 grams of powder. Yep, but Oregon has legalized drugs, and that seems to be working out really well for them, doesn't it? Last year, 11 kids younger than 17 and more than 50 people aged 18 to 24 died from fentanyl in Oregon. But just keep legalizing that garbage. Keep telling your population that it's okay to use drugs. And here's a shocking problem. Thousands of ballots with blurry barcodes that can't be read by vote counting machines will delay results by weeks in a key U.S. House race in Oregon's primary election. A shocking development that is giving a black eye to a vote-by-mail pioneer state with a national reputation as a leader on voter access and equity. The fiasco affects up to 60,000 ballots, or two-thirds of the roughly 90,000 returns so far. In Oregon's third-largest county, hundreds of ballots are still coming in under a new law that allows them to be counted as long as they are postmarked by Election Day. And 200 Clackamas County employees were getting a crash course Thursday in vote counting after being redeployed to address the crisis. Elections workers must pull the faulty ballots from the batches of 125, transfer the voter's intent to a fresh ballot, then double-check their entries. That's right, they're going to rewrite your ballot. A painstaking process that could draw the election out till June 13th when Oregon certifies its vote. The workers operate in pairs, 1 Democrat, 1 Republican, in 2 shifts of 11 hours a day. The debacle has stunned Oregon. Really? Where all ballots have been cast only by mail for 23 years, and lawmakers have consistently pushed to expand voter access through automatic voter registration, expanded deadlines, and other measures. Because Americans are super freaking lazy and just can't go down to a voting booth and use a card that can't be misread. It's also thrown into question a key U.S. House race in a redrawn district that includes a large portion of Clackamas County, which stretches nearly 2,000 square miles from Portland's liberal southern suburbs to rural conservative communities on the flanks of Mount Hood. Yep. We need to go back to the old way of doing voting. This online voting, this mail-in voting, using computers, it doesn't work. This next story is heartbreaking, and I've been to 2 of these calls myself as a police officer. A toddler was transported to the hospital in critical condition after he was hit by his father's vehicle Wednesday afternoon in Riverside, California. According to a spokesperson for the California Highway Patrol, the toddler's father was pulling into his driveway after coming home from work. He waited for the home's gate to fully open before pulling into the driveway. As he drove forward, the man in the vehicle said he felt a bump. When he got out of the car, he discovered that his toddler's son had been run over by the tire. The child was taken to Riverside University Health System Medical Center. Wow, sorry, that still bothers me. Was taken to the University Health Center where he passed away. That is something you will never unsee. If you have small children, just be extra careful. I reported in an earlier report about a Washington corrections officer raping 4 women that were in his custody. Now, Los Angeles, a federal corrections officer who worked at the main jail, has agreed to plead guilty to sexually assaulting a female inmate who was in an isolation cell recovering from COVID-19. Jose Vera could face a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison when he's sentenced later this year. According to the plea agreement obtained by the news station Vieira got into bed with the inmate at the Metropolitan Detention Center, fondled her body, and penetrated her in December 2020. He lied about the nature of the incident when he was interviewed by the FBI. Vieira, a U.S. Bureau of Prisons employee, agreed to plead guilty to a single charge of depriving the woman of her rights under the color of law. It was not clear if Vieira was being held in jail. Not sure why he's not being charged with rape, but hopefully he gets the 10 years that he has coming to him. This has been Pacific Northwest Headline News. For more, visit BehindTheLinePodcast.com. Have a safe weekend. See you Monday.